Welcome to the Pulse Podcast. I am your host, Adrienne Reddick. Today, we're discussing and educating about important school closures and combinations voted on by the Pinellas County School Board to become effective for the 2026-2027 school year. These are changes that could impact students, families, and staff across our community. With declining enrollment driving these recommendations, the district is considering school closures, consolidations, and student reassignments. Understandably, there are a lot of questions, concerns, and perspectives surrounding what this means for our schools, students, and neighborhoods. In this episode, we're breaking it all down with School Board Chair Caprice Edmonds, what's being proposed, who it affects, and what you need to know as these decisions move forward. So let's get into it. And before we begin, please remember to like, share, and subscribe this podcast. Thank you for joining us today, Chair Edmonds. First, please tell us what this is, what exactly took place with the vote from school board members on February 24th, 2026.
Well, I am glad to join you to discuss this very important transition that the district is making. And I just want to provide some background information. So the district started having community meetings in November of 2025, where they invited community stakeholders to come out and provide feedback on what decline in enrollment looks like and what suggestions do they have if there was a need to have smaller schools or different program makeups. And that feedback was presented to the board, as well as the recommendations that you spoke about earlier. So the meetings occurred throughout the county, and then eventually recommendations were provided to the board to extend Oldsmar to a K-8, consolidate Bay Point Elementary and Bay Point Middle School to one school due to decline in enrollment, and make that a different school, actually, a new school, a school within itself housed at the Bay Point Middle location, as well as closing Distant Academy and Cross Bayou. Those were a few of the other recommendations. And the board did vote on February 24th to approve those recommendations. And just a little bit of information regarding decline in enrollment. Decline in enrollment, as the district is speaking about it, is due to birth rates, mainly due to birth rates. Each year, our cohort of kindergartners are smaller than the year before. And as you know, people aren't having 8 kids, 9 kids like they did back in the day. So the enrollment into public school is a lot smaller outside of all the other factors from politics, affordability, immigration, things of that nature all play a part in the enrollment outside of the decline in birth rate, in my opinion. So yes, on February 24th, the school board unanimously approved the recommendations from the superintendent. And I know you have more questions, but I do want to say that I did go out to the schools that were impacted, and I attended some of the community meetings. It was important to hear firsthand from the families at Diston, as well as Cross Bayou, and go to Bay Point Middle School, which will now be consolidated into a K-8.
Mm-hmm. And so, what were some of the concerns that the parents or the community brought up when you were out there listening?
So some of the concerns from Cross Bayou is that many of the families, it was a school that they went to, their family went to, and they just weren't quite sure of how transitioning them to another school would impact their students, their child, who they felt had such a great experience there at Cross Bayou. And some of them have said it was like home. In meeting with other families there, they asked about the carryover of childcare, impact on the deaf and hard of hearing students, and questions similar to that. At our school board meeting, many of the families came and they spoke. Some of our deaf and hard of hearing families, they came and spoke in support of having a K-8 for their kids because they don't
Okay.
currently have a K-8. So the deaf and hard of hearing students that attend Cross Bayou will now be able to go to Walsingham and have a K-8.
Very nice. Very good. And I can understand the cross by you. It's a generational type of thing, right? A legacy for them, if you will. Okay. So, in terms of student impact, who is the first to be impacted? How will students, teachers, and parents be directly impacted? And approximately how many students will be impacted?
Cross Bayou has about 245 students, and the options that were, and they don't have to choose these options. They can choose to
Okay.
go to apply for the late application period at a magnet school and do other things that they may choose. However, some of the proposed schools that are close to Cross Bayou was Pinellas Central and Bardmore Elementary. Parents were invited to tour, ask questions. They were even assisted with if they wanted to apply for a magnet, they were able to do that as well. And staff were on site several days in a row to make sure that they felt supported, even at the second community meeting before the vote occurred on the 24th, just to make sure there was no stones. Not not covered or anything not covered for them. And the same thing happened with Distant Academy. There was staff on site, they made calls, making sure that any of the families who had questions were able to get their questions answered. And one of the things I think is important is regarding the whole conversation. We have spoke several times as a board regarding the schools, regarding the impact of the students who the schools serve, and specifically for distance. There are so many students who pass distance to go to Lellman Innovation or other schools. And due to there only being 52 students in which is a 25% usage rate of that school. And as you know, it costs a lot of money to run and staff
Yeah,
buildings. So
exactly.
it just did not appear in the best interest of the students and the district to continue to operate in that manner. So I think it's important to let you know that staff will have a job. Human resources will work with all staff to make sure they find a position because we still need teachers. So
Yes, we do.
nobody want to lose their job.
Okay. All right. That's great to hear. Is there anything else about the students in particular that you can tell us that will be impacted by this change? I know you mentioned the deaf students, so it was good to hear about them. Is there any other population of student that will be impacted?
So the students who attend Distant Academy, they are attending that school as a to catch up. It's an ESE, an alternative education site. So they have an opportunity to go to traditional schools. They also have an opportunity to not only attend Lellman, but go back to their zone school if that's what they would like to do. So those are generally the kids that will be impacted. And of course, when new students come to a school that's new for all, new for all. So for example, with the deaf and hard of hearing, there'll be some transitionings taking place with those students as they are uh, included in a new K-8 school for them. And then the same thing with Cross Bayou kids. I actually went to Pinellas Central and Bartmore to say or to see, is this really a better opportunity for them? And I went there. Not only did the teachers come to the school board meeting to say, we welcome you with open arms. When I went to Pinellas Central, it was just full of joy and light, a renovated facility. And the school rating is higher than the Cross Bayou school. And the same thing goes for Bartmore. They have a Spanish immersion class and just just the opportunities appear to be a lot better at those schools than may have been at Cross Bayou. And Cross Bayou looks like the old Melrose before it got
Oh,
renovated.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it looks like. So it was really eye-opening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's good to hear that not all change is bad, right? And so there are benefits as they're moving to these other school locations. So let's talk about what plans are in place to ensure a smooth adjustment for the students being reassigned.
Yes. So, as I mentioned, the district staff have been on site at the schools, answering calls, troubleshooting, problem solving. And to the community's credit, some of the concerns they raised, the district had not thought of, and they were able to address them. So, this is why it is extremely important to get the parent and teacher feedback regarding the changes that are happening because ultimately they are on the ground and experiencing this firsthand. So I just want to reiterate that their feedback is extremely important as these schools transition. On another note, the district throughout the summer, or actually right now, are working on this transition phase. And it's important for me to tell you about the website because the website has all the information that I'm sharing with you now in some. And this is pcsb.org/progress. So there you can see the comments from the community meetings, the feedback that was received, as well as the recommendations and the plans as the district moves forward. This round of recommendations or approvals is not going to be the last round. There will be more recommendations for consolidations and closures coming before the board.
Okay. And what's the timeline on that?
Mm. So, right now, the district is wrapping up or continuing to do some of the background work on making sure schools are ready for next year. But by the fall, the school board will be receiving additional recommendations in order to make sure for 27, 28, the schools and students that will be impacted won't be a part of the application period for magnets. Because the last thing you would want people to do is apply for a magnet school that won't be there in 27, 28.
Right. And will you have the same type of community listening tours that you did in this first round?
So I believe they're still going to be going out to the schools that will be impacted and speaking with them twice. As far as having additional community meetings to get feedback, I will find out.
Okay. Sounds good. So, what transportation changes should families expect, including bus routes and travel times?
At this time, the school bell start times have not been voted on yet or even brought to us at a workshop, but it's been said that minimal changes will occur to the start times. As you may know that the legislator had a start time requirement, and if districts couldn't meet that start time requirement, they wanted us to submit proof of the community meetings that we've had, et cetera, et cetera. So long story short is the time changes have not been shared yet. Of course, with consolidating and closing schools, there'll be some bus route changes, and that's all dependent on how many students sign up to ride a bus, or so those routes may change.
Okay. So then, what is the timeline for notifying families and finalizing school assignments?
So right now they're still having the application period. I mentioned the late application period will be either is around this time. And so I believe around April, May is when they start finalizing. And as you know, people do shift and change schools throughout as they need to.
Right.
So that's still like on a rolling basis. But parents can always contact the schools or the district with the questions regarding student assignments.
Okay. So that's all I have for you today. Is there anything additional that you'd like to share with our audience, Chair Edmond?
Yes, I again encourage everybody to provide feedback to the district, what's going well, what areas of improvement you would like to see, because your feedback is extremely important. And if you have additional questions about planning for progress, please go to pcsb.org/progress, or you can email the board at pcsb.org. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and please invite me back.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining us.